2023 one started that. Okay. Looked at the probable future scenarios in this country in the 20 years to come. And as you can see from 2023, when you look at Flourishing, from 2019 to 2023, you can see for yourself that Flourishing scenario has been gaining some strength with time, but also the crisis scenario seems to be more probable. People are looking at it, yeah, probably the future will be crisis driven. That is what most people are thinking from 2019. And in 2023 report, you can see it was even higher. So that is how people are looking at it. But then the other future scenario is the desirable future, the future that most people want and most countries also desire to have. So after contemplating the many possible future scenarios and considering that some futures are better than others, the core questions that remains is, so which of these scenarios are the most and the less desired by people? And this comprises an assessment of the value, judgments, the general goals, preferences, and priorities of different groups of individuals. And the central to this question is what people considers to be characteristic of a good society. That is the desirable future. And I think when we talk of hope, most of us are all looking at that desirable future. What is it that we will need in future? So I'll still go back to the same hope barometer study. I just used one. So if you looked at what they desire in 20 years' time to come, when you look at competitive and technological scenario, you will realize most of them are not keen on that. But from 2019, but when it comes to the sustainable scenario where it's greener, harmonious society, and where emphasis is on cooperation, community, and family, more equal distribution of wealth, and greater economic self-sufficiency, you will realize that is what most of the population desire. I'll also be looking at it probably, that is the Kenya we want. So that is it. So let's look at the types of hopes. We have personal hope, and we have our personal well-being, where people draw their hope from a personal level, social relationships, success, material goods, pleasure, meaning, and altruism. That is personal hope. And when you talk of personal hope, this is where also people now set their personal goals and develop agency. And when it comes to young people and personal hope, I'll be looking at it probably from my working environment. Our children come up with very clear academic goals, and along the way, their personal well-being is also affected. Why? The parents or whoever is taking care of them or schools also have their own goals. And when it's an exam year and you're talking to most of these children, their levels of anxiety and everything seems to be high. And the main thing when you ask them, What worst can happen if you actually failed in an exam? They'll be telling you, my parents will kill me. My dad cannot take it. Then the key question is, where are our children developing agency if they cannot set their own goals? Why will parents also push their own goals on their children? Because these children know their strength, what they can achieve academically, and their struggles and all that. So when we talk of personal hope, I think that is where it is important that we also look at it, that for young people, we need to trust that they can set their own goals and achieve. The other thing on personal hope, currently, the talk or the greatest or major challenge is all around technology. But also you realize that that is where we are also heading, a world that is also going to be driven by so much technological advancement. And I think the main also problem, you wake up to a lot of emails, so many things. It's all about technology, desperation. The young people be telling you, my parents cannot understand and all that. But I'll still ask a question that was posed by one student, a 13-year-old, during a conference in 2023 on Safer Internet Day. A young person stood up and asked or told the audience that, yeah, parents, teachers will not always be there, but our phones and technology is always with us. And that was a serious reflection point, that these young people, they're only demanding trust that we can still set our technological goals and achieve. However, we're also looking at it, even as they talk of technology and all that, it has its own risks and the good side. As parents, as schools, have we tried to educate these children on the risks around technologies in terms of what they can get out there, in terms of content, contract, contact, conduct? Have we done that? Or it's all about restrictive use of technology and we've not done that? It is important that we also give information to these children, teach of the risks, and then make them now set their own technological goals. And as they're setting their technological goals, remember we have also said they might face challenges. Have we also told our young people, it's fine. As you are online, things might go wrong. And if they go wrong, what do you need to do? What have we also done? We've also limited our young people, their point of contacts, their trusted adults in their lives. We've made them to only know that you can talk to us as parents, as your trusted adults. But current research in the field of safeguarding and all that is totally showing a different thing. These children are also now showing that they can no longer even trust their parents. Your parents are even number 4 on their lists. Their list of trusted people is totally different. Give them a choice, like things might go wrong. And if they go wrong, yes, you have, we as your parents, you have your aunties, your grandparents, your teachers, your priests, your counselors, and all that. Give them choice. When you narrow that to them, and you've set so much restrictions around that, when they cannot achieve these goals, when things don't go wrong, they're now coming back to you to tell you anything. They won't. So we are also looking at it that give them an opportunity also to decide. And that is how they also build their agency. And even that I've tried with my own students who are talking about who are your net support network from grade 6 to 12. And to tell you in a class, if you got two children who told you they're our parents, you are lucky. In grade 8, all of them told us, I never received anyone who said, I can talk to my parent if things go wrong. Their contact was elder sister, my aunties, my grandparent, and to some, the school driver. So, as you're looking at these, strengthen young people's sense of agency. Trust, give them a variety. The more you limiting everything, the more you are making them become more hopeless and feel we might not manage. So that would be my take when it comes to personal hope. Most of us are parents, most of us also work with parents and all that. It is also important to be informed on what to tell them. And then we have what we call collective hope. And collective hope consists of the belief that a better future is not only for a few, but for all of us if we actually joined hands together. It involves people connecting to each other in the community with similar goals and interests and having ways on how to achieve those goals. So collective well-being or collective hope is our shared community destination. And there is an interconnection. It is what creates connection, a sense of belonging amongst people. However, for collective hope, it is if a child or a young person, or even you as a person, you've not been able to achieve your own personal goals that are determined by somebody else, it becomes very difficult to do what? To achieve collective hope or well-being. So there is a connection that there is always the individual and the community. And now there is the third element. And the third element is the planet. As you flourish as individuals, as you want to flourish as communities, also remember the planet has to flourish. So that will be the other thing. What are you doing also at an individual level, collectively, to also make the planet flourish? I'll still go back to another example on collective hope, just on technology and young people, and I can still give other examples from what I'm experiencing in my work. Do we think we can collectively set goals around technology in families and learning institutions and actually achieve them? The answer might be yes or no, but I'll be looking at it. It depends on our approach. When it gets to collective setting of goals, even at a family, let me just start at a family level before I move to school, even school. What has happened? We approach it with very punitive restrictions. And what our young people do, they will always resist. Or sometimes it's so reactional. And since it's so reactional, they also test the boundaries. They know schools and families will react when things go wrong. So you come up very fast, set very restrictive rules, and then what happens? They'll test them. And then you fail. We become hopeless. And look at it, technology is bad. We cannot manage. We all now fear. However, what is more important when we're looking at even setting our goals as a family from a collective point of view is having the young people and children part of that. They don't want to hear anything rules. No. That language is being changed to agreements. We are having a family agreement in terms of technology management. And since it is an agreement between we, the children, and the other people of the family, if this and this happens, then this is what is going to happen. It is already an agreement. They are a part of it. They won't have any problem. And this is it. If you want, like, for example, to just set up sunset, technological sunset in the family, that by 10 a.m., 10 p.m., no phone, we are all collecting our phones or no phones in the bedroom, and we are all leaving them or locking them in this. And failure to do that, then the next day, you'll not have your phone. What happens? They already know this is something that we are doing collectively as a family. Everyone wants to sleep in peace, so they go for it. By any bad day, one of these young person in the family decides to push the boundaries and go with their phone in the bedroom, and you wake up in the morning. Do you need to talk? You only need to put your hand and they'll hand in their phone. And they will not complain. Why? It was a family agreement. And this is the consequences. How many days are you going to collect the phone every morning? Are we? We're not going to collect. Even in school setup, schools are now struggling with issues around technology. Should we have phone-free schools or phone-inclusive schools? And then when we look at where we are headed, and we also need to instill more hope in terms of technology in our children, then most schools are also just opting for phone-inclusive schools. And that means what is happening? Parents, teachers, and children are also now reaching up on agreements that can guide phone use in school. And it has become very easier to manage. It is, you are not going to, you will have your phone in school, you will not use your phone during meals, during breaks, and even during classroom, during lessons, but it will be in your bag. Because most schools are day school, it is important you can now communicate with your parent when you are sick or on your way home. So that is it. Even a student really use their phone, you'll always just have an easy way of dealing with such a case. The parents were looked in, the child is there, and the school. So it's easier. It's easier just to pick the phone, have it in a principal's office or a teacher's office the entire day, and the child will not repeat the same. So that is what we're talking when we talk about collective. Sorry, I'm just speaking on technology because it's been a real thing. We've been struggling with this so much, and I'm helping also you to really understand what is changing and what we can do to instill hope and not fear in the young children or young people. So remember, I've mentioned of the planet and us. So if you look at all that, that is the science between collective hope. That when we work together, then we will have meaningful and sustainability efforts and programs that are destined around hope within communities, also strengthen social ties, support mental health, and facilitate flourishing, nurturing hope, based or sustainable programs will also lead to increased engagement and community environmental actions and all that. So there is a lot that when we talk of collective hope, what hope can also do when it comes to taking care of the planet. So now let's move on. Remember, we've said that for positive futures, we need our personal hopes. And in this, we're looking at our positive emotions, character strengths, and what can enable us flourish. With the schools and community and from society, we're looking at society from a social, ecological, economic, and sustainability. But all in all, whatever we do collectively or at individual level, are they looking at the Bama model? Are they increasing our positive emotions, our levels of engagement? It will be so bad that we engage in community activities that it doesn't really make people get engaged. You've seen this. When you also decide things for young people, they were not part of the decisions, and you claim that it is community activities, they might not experience much engagement. Are they going to foster positive relationship, meaning, and accomplishment? So, what is it? You're looking at individual strengths. Is this a person's individual strengths? Do their strengths also lie in this when it comes to personal hope and even community? And then from a society ecological, you're looking at our sustainable development goals. And then what is it that now you're doing with all these as schools, as community, to promote or take care of the planet? And this can be done in several ways. All the sustainable goals are there. There are many, I just picked a few. But if you looked at education, I don't know Ian Gishoi, but I was moved by his story. He's a former alumni of Starehe Boys. He decided single-handedly just to ride from Cairo to South Africa to raise school fees for children. Many people come up with good cause, walk, run in community for a good cause, be it education, environment, helping of young people. What do we do to that? Social injustice and actions. What is our role? Where there is injustice, there's not going to be peace. What is our role in promoting that? What's our role in taking good care of our environment? Are we contributing to a bad future or a future that is not sustainable by us still throwing waste through our vehicles' windows as we move, dumping a trash wherever we feel like, cutting down trees and all that? I don't know. Decision making. Our young people right now are feeling left out. Schools, learning institutions, governments are just coming up with policies for young people. Where is their voice? Their voice is not there. Participation is key if our children also want to feel or feel part of it, and that's a way of also instilling hope. Food for all. What are we doing? Are we all each person cooking their own meal. I think that is the trend. I didn't like this food, so each person decides this is what I want to cook. After that, another person goes to cook, or they serve and they taste. After one spoon, they tell you, it didn't taste well. It tastes so bad. And it's all thrown. These are things these young people and children we need to teach, tell them. The other thing that can help us contribute to better futures is also just engaging in kind or altruism, things that can bring hope. Look at when we send children out to go take care of the sick, the aged, and all that, what it does, and just giving back to society. So those are just a few things that we can do in relation to our SDGs and the environment. There is a lot, but now the key question is, what are you doing as an individual? What are we doing as communities to work towards sustainable futures? So, probable or possible? Probable future, it's not promised. But a possible future, yes. And this can be done by one, two, and all of us. So positive effects of the hope barometer. This has been done in most schools around Switzerland. For those schools that adopted the model and everything, probably let's give students a voice. Let's let them participate in decision making, coming up with policies and all that. You realize that the whole program where it was done, you can see the results, but on the control group, you can see what is happening. I won't talk much on that, but these are things we can learn from. And then when it comes to application of a whole program in school, please, as you come up with those programs, look at it. Are they programs that are helping young people discover themselves? They also decide for themselves their life. Are they programs designed collectively, or they're just being designed by one people or two people in a boardroom, and then we agree that, okay, this is suitable, it's good for the young people. That is what we refer to as the manipulation aspect of young people when we look at the ladder of participation. The other thing, as we come up with the programs, be it in school or learning institution, are they going to transform the future together? Or is it to achieve an individual's interest? The main thing, whose interest? And what is the future in this? And then the young people should feel part of it, and at the end of it, celebrate the success. You don't know when these children, at the end of it, they can just have set goals and achieve them. It has always been the best time in their life. They'll always come and they'll be shouting, yes, I did it. I managed. We did it. We managed. That is what we really want to see around. So I look at hope and mental health and sustainable or flourishing future. They also go hand in hand, and you can already see research on the same in relation to wider community, rehabilitation, and also youth and society. I won't read through all that data. I don't know. I think I'm running short of time, so let me just wind up. So, when we talk of hope and mental health, traditionally, or the traditional model focused mostly on negative symptoms. As a practice counselor, this is what will happen when you got a client who manifested with negative symptoms of mental health. Yes, you'll always look at it. No, this is beyond me. it's not my case. And what we always did was to refer immediately. But now, with the dual model of positive mental health, what Corey Keys came to name it as the flourishing and languishing model, you realize that there's been a different approach towards mental health. And to that, it's no longer like this is it, so and so is this. No, they're looking at it. And as I talk about this, we cannot take away languishing symptoms from people who are languishing. It's fine. We cannot take that away from them. But when people are languishing, it's been found that the most important thing is connecting them to other people. Connection is healing in itself. So it is in connection that they find also hope for tomorrow. For those who are practicing, I won't get into this when time or when I visit Kenya and have time, I will come and have a talk around that on a one-on-one. You look at it, when we get people who are languishing, they'll always have, or these are the words they might use, oh, I feel hopeless, or I don't see myself living tomorrow, or I do feel I cannot take it anymore. I feel there's those. And when you talk to them and ask them about the future, where will you want to see yourself in the next 5 years, you will always realize there is something that they hope for. And that is what you capitalize on. Once you capitalize on that, you'll always realize they'll now start talking about meaning and purpose for their life. And once they start talking about now meaning and purpose, what do you now do as a good practicing counselor? You now look at it, okay, so you mentioned this, this and this, so that means we can have a plan for you. You don't immediately say, this is not my case, and throw them to referral to the hospital model. No, it's upon you to still work and hold on them. But as you're doing that, you are looking at it, then there is this. So in the family, who is this person? We can help link up with you so that you're not sending this person alone to a medical model, and you know prognosis will be given, drugs will be given, and they'll start walking alone. And when they walk alone, the probability that they might not manage is high. So you are still looking at it, okay, I'm going to work with the hospital, the psychiatrist, I'm going to work with so and so in the family, this and this other person, this and this and this as part of your plan. So it's all about not like letting people who are languishing be alone, but also trying to connect them with other people in society so that they remain hopeful and think of tomorrow. Thank you. That's my presentation. And I'll want to end with that quote. We can all make a difference in our own small way. We're not going to save this world in a dramatic manner. No. So the main thing is, what are you doing to the planet? What is your contribution towards the future? Are we contributing to that desired future? Or we're still waiting, sitting and hoping for a desired future and not taking action? So thank you so much. You need to reach out. Thank you, Shuru.
Thank you so much, Everlyne. That was a really, really good, well-researched, practical presentation. helping us to know what we might be able to do to actually make a better future. Telling us that agency can be cultivated so that we don't have to stay in the realm of wishful thinking, and that in fact we can cultivate it even among our children, which we really, really desire. Thank you for the guides. There's been a question there about us, one source. Thank you for giving us the sources in the screen, on the slides of your data and information. There's just one that Jackie was asking, where do we find the data about the children, who the children trust? Where did you pick up that information? If you can tell us, that would be of interest. Someone is asking whether this recording will be shared. As usual, it will be put on the website of PAC. You noticed we started recording a little late, but we shall see how to do that correctly. I see a few other points are coming in, and I will be taking them. I hope that if you have nothing to say, you will also at least tell us what's your take home, so that together we can actually increase our sense of hope. What are you likely to remember in 48 hours without looking at your notes? What has gone home to your heart? We want to cultivate hope, and hope is an active word. It is not just passively waiting for something to happen, but really engaging with it. So I go to the comment of Caroline. It is crucial to integrate the training of virtues with the provision of care and protection of children. This is another knowledgeable person. So thank you, Caroline. She says that teaching children virtues is essential in today's technological era, where relationships are increasingly lacking in humanity. Time is a critical component in instilling hope in the learning process of the young. So feel free to comment on that if you'd like, Evelyn, but let me read one or two other comments. Mainly it's thank yous, well presented information, well appreciated. We need more such presentations, very practical and really helpful to actually make a difference. I hope the person who said they hope they'll be able to create a legacy has picked up a few things of how that will, to add to your treasure bag of how that will be done. So thank you so much for the beautiful presentation. The voice intonation is calming, perfect facilitator. Yes, we have different voices, so I guess you know that there's a difference. But yes, indeed, I liked the way Jackie, the way Everlyne presented this very calmly, because you are very confident of what you are talking about. Dr. Chakua says, thanks, Everlyne. That was very fresh and with practical takeaways. I particularly like the steps in supporting children to cultivate hope. That is a collaborative venture. Absolutely, even with the children, and taking, of course, the consequences. Yes, I agree, Dr. Caro. I need to be the change of hope that I wish to see in the world. I will remember this. That says Ruth. Yes, we want a change. We need to actually make it happen. The best way to change the future is actually to intervene and make it happen. Thanks so much for the insights. It was very informative, especially handling the young ones who believe in dialogue and not policies and rules. That's what Perry says. And Winifrida says, as counselors, how can we help to create trust among young ones to their parents and caregivers? Yeah. So you could respond to these two so far. There's the sources that Jackie has asked for and how we create trust. And then we shall take a few more comments if time allows. Everlyne, back to you.
Okay, Carol, on the issue of virtues, I'll agree. Yes, values training is important also when we want to deal with technology. And I'll ask, where do children and young people get their moral compass? If we can address that, then it is very easy to integrate values into that. My grade 3 children, grade 1, when you ask them on issues of phone what they have to say, They'll be telling us, my mom scrolls through the phone the entire afternoon chatting with the friends. In our family, everyone is just like that, even when we are eating, and all that. So now I'll be looking at it. Where do our children and young people draw their moral compass when it comes to addressing issues around technology? If we can address that, then instilling values around the same is key. And even when it comes to our issues around social media and who they are to follow, which ideologies, then it is very crucial that values play a critical role. So mine will be a challenge to all the counselors, to all parents in the house. Let's consider that. Issues around moral compass. And then there is trust to their parents and caregivers. It all goes back to our relationship with our children. We're living in times when we also don't have time. We are too busy and we even don't have time. And even these children can say that. They sometimes even try maybe to communicate, but we are too also busy and tired not even to pick. What they need is just you being there. Once they realize you can always be there and listen, very important. Issues around restrictions and how you also handle them when things go wrong also matters. Because that is what will make them come back or never come back again. Once they feel judged, condemned, and that is it. They'll really not come back. That's why they're not trusting ChatGPT. That is what they're telling us. We'd rather ask questions there and will be answered. We'd rather talk to our friends. We'd rather even talk to that driver who drops us to school, but not our parents. And the most thing that they'll just tell us in this other side of the world, our parents don't understand us. Our parents are too mean. Our parents are too judgmental. So those are some of the things that we also need to put into consideration if our children really need to trust us. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Evelyn. There is lots of comments of appreciation. There are some take-homes also in the midst, including that at this time we need to instill hope among the young ones, that it is a timely topic. And in the Catholic Church, we are actually having a Jubilee Year of Hope proclaimed by the late Pope Francis. And it's good that you connect that with us, Rose. Yes, we want what? Agreements, not not rules and declarations. And that I share with Jackie as one of the things I'm taking home. We have many more of that wonderful presentation. Jerry is going to have his challenge to retrospect and embrace change. Yeah, thank you very much. So I want to thank everyone for attending this session and for I want to report that we started recording a little late, but whatever we have recorded, we shall post on the park website as you'll find the other webinars. So we are not going to be sending to anybody individually. So you, in a day or two, that will be posted. And so look out for it there. I want to thank you for your interest in our webinars and for your engagement with these topics. You can also share with us what you might like us to explore further. As somebody has mentioned here, this is a really good topic. We should have more like this. But can you articulate that better and send to Positive Psychology Association of Kenya? We are willing to explore how we might meet you at your point of need within the ambient of positive psychology considerations. So Hesa thanks you, everybody thanks you, Evelyn. We are really, really grateful for your for sharing with us from the wealth of your experience and your research. Now, I know that many of us here also are engaged in research in various other topics. So don't be too humble to share. And don't wait until you have found all the conclusions. Knowledge is always changing. So as you move along, I was excited to hear this presentation on hope, because my own master's research was on hope. And I have, I've grown. If I've waited until I know everything, then I'll never be able to share. So please, we would like to, we would like to make sure that what you are learning, you can share with us. We can interrogate it. We may be able to challenge it and enable you to actually produce a better product, whatever that is all about. So before we close, I'd like to hand over to Father Selvam. He is the one in charge of these webinars.
Can I say something?
And we are very grateful, Father Selvam, that you have been able to find us such great speakers, even hunting down our Kenyans from across the world and other great speakers so far. So we are very grateful. There's somebody who said they'd like to say something. Who was saying that?
I want to say something. This is
Yes,
Munira.
be very brief,
Yeah.
Munira, and then we go to Father Selvam. Thank you, Munira.
Thank you very much. It was a really wonderful presentation. I'd like to emphasize when she talked about the dual factor model of mental health. And she talked about the two internalized indicators of mental health. One is psychopathology and the other is the well-being model. So when you emphasize the positives and capitalize on the positives, it gives the mentally sick people hope for the future. So that's a very important message that needs to go out to the communities, because we always emphasize the negative, the psychopathology of the mentally sick, rather than the positives.
Thank you, Munira. Really at the anchor of what positive psychology is all about. And it's good we have many more agents on the ground making this happen. Thank you. Father Selvam.
Thank you, Wairimu, for chairing this discussion, and Evelyn, all the way from Bern, for making this presentation. Yes, Evelyn was our student at Tangaza, and we are proud that she is now in the international school in Bern. Not far from where I am right now, across the Alps. Okay, so two announcements. One is we were expected to have a character coaching program in April. Unfortunately, we didn't plan that in time, and so we are going to postpone that to maybe to later months during the year. On the other hand, in May, tomorrow already the posters will come out. May 20th to 23rd, 4 days, we are going to have what